Tell me a little bit about that 2011 season. Was that your favorite season that you played?
No, God, no.
Really, despite winning?
I will say that was my favorite, like, because of the playoff run. Because I got there late. I got there, like, towards the end of the season, like, early November. Because when I got released from Green Bay in 2010, I remember my wife woke up, was like, hey, I had a dream the Giants going to sign you. I'm like, yeah, right. I'm like, go to sleep, And sure enough, my agent called me like 3 hours later, was like, hey, the Giants want to work you out. You're going to go to New York. And this is 2010. So I go to New York, and I remember I was in my hotel, and I think the Bengals were calling me, and my agent was like, yo, the Bengals going to call you? He said, do not answer the phone. He said, don't. He said, because you're in New York, I want you, the Giants is a good situation, especially if you pass your physical and work out. So I remember I go to see the doctor. My knee was like jacked up, like really bad from tearing it the previous year. And I remember the doctor was like moving my ACL. He was like, dude, your knee's like not fully healed. Like it's not intact. He said, but because I like you, he said, I'm going to let you work out. He cleared me even though I straight up failed the physical.
How'd you get hurt?
Just making a cut versus the Vikings in the Metrodome. Boom, tore ACL, MCL, and meniscus. All that stuff. The whole deal. The whole deal. And so it was a struggle to come back, which is why I got cut, because I was never healthy. Which is another crazy part about the NFL. And especially like they did the surgery, they did the rehab, and I still didn't recover. So I failed my physical, but I still go work out for New York. And by the grace of God, I felt good during that workout. So it was me, a couple like scouts throwing the football, it was and Dave Gettleman. And I ended up with one leg, ran a 4.58, and did the drills, and Dave signed me on the spot.
How different was your run when you came out?
I ran 4.41, 2 legs. So, but I tried to train, and I signed me on the spot. Remember, we played in Seattle that year. I had a couple good returns, and then as the year went on, my knee just like fell apart, and just my leg wasn't working, couldn't use it. But this is why I hold the Giants in high regard. I do because I remember, so when I signed with the Giants, I signed a waiver, meaning like, hey, if you get injured again, we're not responsible, right? And it was like a split in my contract too. So at the end of the year, I remember Dr. Ronnie Barnes, Byron, and I forget who else came in there, and they were like, look, I know we wrote this in the contract, but you really got to get your leg fixed. Mm-hmm. So right there, Ronnie ripped with the contract. He was like, pick any surgeon, pick any rehab place, even though like you're not part of the team anymore. Like, he said, we'll pay for it the whole time.
Is that uncommon?
That does not, from my knowledge, that does not happen.
Seems like it wouldn't happen.
So no, honestly, and this is during the lockout year too.
Yeah, that's right. Because I remember that was when Cam was a rookie.
Yeah,
and he came in, and I'll never forget that first game. He plays the Cardinals and like broke the passing record for a rookie. Right, and that was a short season.
So that was a lockout. It was before right when the lockout happened, and I picked my surgeon. I went to Curlin Job, and he redid the whole knee, redid the whole thing. Sent the bill. Giants got it. Every time I went to my rehab, Giants got it. I went to like 10 different doctors to get like different injections to like, help my knee heal. Sent it to New York. They paid it. They paid it all the way through until, I don't know. And I remember too when I left, Jerry Reese, former GM, was like, "Hey, here's my card. Like, let me know when you're ready." And sometimes they say it's courteous, but I was like, "I'm gonna call you when I'm ready." And sure enough, 2011 came. I got another surgery just to clean up some scar tissue. Giants took care of it again. And just keep in mind, this whole time, I am not a member of the New York Giants. I am a free agent, and they're paying for all my medical stuff, which they were not responsible for legally on the contract.
And this is also before you even talked to them?
This is after the first time I was with them.
Got it.
Yeah. And then I called Jerry Reese. I said, "Hey, I'm ready to go." He was like, "Okay, I'll keep you on the short list." They brought me in, I think, September for like a cattle call workout. Like 30 guys came and worked out. And then he put me on the short list again. And then I think a bunch of corners got hurt that year. I think there was like 26 guys on IR when I went over there. And they called me, and it was like, "Hey, they called me like on something weird. You know when someone calls you when it's a team because they will call you like 6 o'clock in the morning because I'm on the West Coast. So I knew like, okay, if it's 6 o'clock in the morning, it's a team
It's
calling
East
me.
Coast team.
Yeah. That's what happened when I went to Washington too. They called me in a cracker dawn too. So yeah, Jerry Reese called and I was like, we're going back to New York, and I went there in the middle of like the losing streak that was going on. And then I think we just dropped one to Washington. We go to New Orleans to get our head beat in. And then, and then all of a sudden, man, but that team was cool because it was a bunch of just grown men on that team. That's what made that team super cool. Is you look at any room, the DB room, right? We had Antrell Rowe, Deion Grant, like Corey Webster, like those are like the 3 like grown dudes.
Yeah.
Aaron Ross, KP, and then you go to the linebackers. Obviously Chase. He was a leader. Jaquan was a young buck on the team. You go to we had easily the best defensive line in terms of we had an 8-man rotation. You got Kiwanuka, you had JPP, you had OC,
young JPP,
young JPP, and young Linville Joseph.
That's right.
Rocky Bernard,
and then you had Tuck.
Right. We had an 8-man rotation.
Yeah. The glory days.
The glory days, yeah. And that's just our defense. And offensively, obviously, we had running backs with, Brandon and Ahmad. I mean, you don't get more grown man crazy than that. And our whole offensive line was legit. We had grown receivers.
Yeah.
Like we had the identity of a championship type of team. And then we had a coach who he put it all on us. Coach Coughlin, he put it all on the play. He had a leadership committee. He's like, look, if there's any drama going on, like you guys handle it. If it's too big, then you guys bring it to me. And for the most part, like the guys did handle it. Like our locker room was like, look, you get a line, you might get beat up. That type of deal. And so, yeah, that team was big because everybody held everybody accountable. There was so much arguing, but it was like a family type of argument, because it was that close. And so I really got to see, okay, that's what like a championship team really looks like. And I saw the year before because Green Bay won the year I got released, so I got to see that be built. But I got to see really what it took, and it was like everyone being unselfish.
It's wild to me that you say that wasn't like your favorite year playing.
Well, because I had so much fun in Green Bay. Green Bay was fun.
They also drafted you too, so that's like a soft spot, or
I wouldn't call it a soft spot. I legit had fun. That was just like it was out of control, just so much fun. Yeah, of course it was. Not to just win a Super Bowl in New York.
Yeah,
I mean that's the dream right there, because you get to go down in Manhattan. The parade, it was just nuts. So
everything gets elevated in New York.
If you win in New York, dude,
that's a real
you're
thing.
good. You are. It's a rite of passage once you win in New York. It's like it's crazy.
Think about like. For as great as Odell has been, if he don't make that catch Sunday Night Football against the Cowboys as a Giant,
right,
he's still going to be a great receiver, but not to the point where dude has the most social media followers of anyone in the league.
Dude, if you're good, if you're really good on New York, you're good. You're good.
Yeah, and that's for every sport too. Like what's crazy, man? They honor the '94 Knicks so much. They never won a championship though.
They don't.
But they honor them because they were great teams, conference finals, NBA finals. But it's just crazy to think they didn't even win, but they're still honored and held to that regard. So then when you do win a championship.
I was just talking with my friends, my homeboys. I was like, what if Linsanity happened in Memphis?
No one care. It'd be just another dude just on a winning streak.
It'd be dope. It'd be cool. But Linsanity happened in New York. I mean, he went on 2 months.
Yeah.
Scorching. In New York, bust Kobe in New York.
Yeah,
dropped 38 on Kobe in New York.
For real, man. Linsanity was a real thing.
That was a real thing, but because it was in New York. So, to your point, like it was cool, like to do that in New York. That was definitely like up there because the year before Green Bay just won, and I should have been part of that because I helped build that team. I was there for the whole 4-year rebuild.
That's right.
And then I got released that year, and that year they went and won. So for me to come back, New York, we actually went through Green Bay to go to San Francisco. That was pretty cool.
When the Giants beat the Packers, and then that year I was stressing so much about playing the Saints because, like you said before,
We did not want to go to New Orleans.
when the Niners beat them, I started telling my boys, "Yo, we going to the Super Bowl." They're like, you gotta worry about the Niners. I was like, "Nah, we don't gotta go to New Orleans, man.
We
going to the Super Bowl."
We did not want to go to New Orleans at all.
That was like peak New Orleans too.
That
like
was
the
peak New
Superdome.
Orleans.
Drew Brees running wild.
And then once like those safeties knocked out everybody, that was the deal.